During the Great Depression, the New Deal Works Projects Administration, WPA, used unemployed writers and researchers from the Federal Writers Project to interview and document the stories of surviving African Americans who have been part of the American slave system up until the 13th Amendment. Produced between 1936 and 1938, the narratives retell the experiences of more than 2,300 former slaves.
I saw slaves sold in slavery times. I saw them whooped and many ran away. Some never come back. When we were sick, we took lots of herbs and roots. I married Roberta Edwards 51 years ago. We had 6 sons and 3 daughters. After the war, I farmed around from one plantation to another. I've never owned a home of my own. When I got too old to work, I come and live with my married daughter in Raleigh. I've been here 4 years. I think slavery was a mighty bad thing, though it's been no bed of roses since. But then, no one could whoop me no more.
Wow, so there's my answer. He comparing it to what was happening when this was written,
Right.
back to when he was enslaved.
But he,
He doesn't see too much
the
difference.
slave
other than
narratives
yeah,
were
I'm saying,
the
how did
late-
he progress?
This was the late 20s, if I remember, early 30s. So we're talking about 1930s. I'm thinking the war he mentioned was maybe World War I.
No, he's talking about,
So you think he's meant?
the war. I think it's a civil war.
Because he said after the war, I farmed around from one plantation to another. So either he's talking about the Civil War.
This is after he was free, right?
Yeah,
Right,
after he
right,
was
right.
Civil
free.
War.
Civil War.
But I'm guessing through World War I, he's still farming around plantations
Till he got too old.
till he got too old to work.
And then he went to live with his daughter.
To me, it's like he's saying no difference. He's just not getting whooped.
Yeah, right.
He feels like he's still in
He's
slavery.
still, yeah.
What do you think when he said, but then no one could whoop me no more? How does that sound? What do you think how is he saying that, you feel?
It's sad to me, and this might not be the answer. Might not be answering your question, but it's like, when you're growing up in your house and you got your whippings for this or your beatings for that, and then when you get a certain age and you leave and you're like, well, you can't beat me anymore, to your parents, and that's sad and degrading for this.
Yeah.
For this.
Or, well, with me, I think slavery was a mighty bad thing, though it's not been no bed of roses, but then no one could whoop me no more. Where, life isn't as good as I thought it would have been, but at least I have that sense of control where, I haven't had my own home, or I'm not living to where I was, but things aren't good from that standpoint, but they are good in the sense of nobody's beating me or standing over me or telling me what to do anymore. So I do have freedom in that area, even though I may not feel like I'm freed in other areas.
And-
That's the way that I would.
And that's like tiny for me dealing with him. That's very, very minute because
The beating part?
Yeah, I mean,
I-
that's what I think. Because when he was enslaved, he had security and stability. He had a home, even though the master owned it or whatever. But so it's like it's no different, and so it makes me think like
Well,
I don't know. Go ahead.
the security and stability part kind of.
I mean, to me,
the side a little
he's
bit.
saying he never owned a home. I mean, that's like the whole, you want to own a home or you want,
Yeah.
I don't know, it seemed like he's maybe bounced around.
Well, just in slavery, a lot of slaves, it was not a secure. And
It wasn't
stable
security, but it really
necessarily.
was for them.
A few,
to a degree, it
a
was.
few slave
some of them
masters
didn't
did
leave.
make an effort to keep their slaves and allow them to stay. A few, but for the most part, you never knew.
Yeah, they
I mean,
could
you could
send
be
you on.
gone.
Right.
Your children could be gone. So to characterize it as secure and stable.
A sense of security, because even they oftentimes say, oh, we had good white folks, or they allowed them to, take Sunday off. So that's what I'm saying. He had this set life that he was sure of. okay? But now he's saying he don't own a home, and the only difference is he's not getting whooped. So that's what I'm saying. It's like he's I think that there was a sense of security for the slaves. It's bad, but that's my opinion.
Well, in the same sense that, prisoners have a sense of security.
True.
They have a place where they have to go,
Right,
and they have a
exactly.
routine they have to follow, and it does.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good
Yeah.
sense of security, but
What I read into that, and even when we talk about some good white masters and being off on Sundays, we're grasping at straws. That's my sense, and that's my sense of what he's saying here. But then no one could whip me no more. He's saying slavery was bad, and it's been bad ever since. And he's grasping for straws, but nobody could whip me no more. It's not a victorious
Okay.
statement he's making.
Okay.
It's a statement that comes out of his sense of I don't know, hopelessness, maybe a sense of defeat even. It's just trying to grab some statement of an attempt at positivity at the tail end of his whole narrative here, and that's the best we can do. Is that? But then no one could whip me no more. So that hits me as very tragic and sad.
very.
Oh no, I was going to say two things that once again, I guess in us reading this in sections, it almost takes away from certain things because we were talking about, wouldn't the master have been upset that he lost his slaves? Well, I forgot until I looked. He was a colonel. The master was a colonel. I mean, it was right there in that second paragraph. That said, yeah, he already knew that they lost. So that already plays. I mean, that deals with that. But I guess I'm looking at the whole thing that you're taken from slavery, or you're now told you're no longer a slave. You're free. I look at people back then as totally emotionally and mentally different than people are now, almost in a stronger way, dealing with harsher circumstances. Because if you take away the aspects of airplanes and jets, and you really take it to the 1800s, where pretty much everything was by a ship, travel around the world by a boat. Long-term travel, I mean, nothing instantaneous. Where it's truly like going from one world to another world, and you're free. Now what? I really don't know where I came from. What do I do now? I have nothing. What do I do?
Right. Which I think we're trying to get into the mind of the master. I think there was kind of an understanding of, okay, some things might change a little bit, but truthfully, it's going to be the same system. And so we move from the slavery plantation system into the plantation sharecropping system, because these slaves, they don't have anywhere to go. They don't have family. They don't have savings, and homes and land and all of these things. That was part of the promise of what they were supposed to be given, with the idea of 40 acres and a mule, but it wasn't delivered upon. And so, from the slave master's position, he might have been thinking, okay, it's going to change a few things, but honestly, they all going to be working for me anyway. What else are they going to do? I'll pay them slave wages.
Going off to Canada.
Yeah.
Right.